Breaking: Manchester United are preparing for one of their busiest weeks of the summer. Up to 7 deals are now in motion, including a shock Arsenal move, a Rashford swap that nobody expected, and a Manchester United could complete as many as 7 transfers this week, according to reports from the Manchester Evening News and Express Sport. 3 senior signings have already arrived at Old Trafford this summer. Andre Santos joined from Chelsea for £50 million. Karl Darlow signed after his contract at Leeds United expired. Youri Tielemans completed his move when his £35 million release clause at Aston Villa was triggered. With the new Premier League season approaching, Michael Carrick's squad is expected to see further changes before the campaign begins. Both incoming and outgoing deals are reportedly close, involving academy players facing uncertain futures and one surprising move involving a direct Premier League rival. The club's recent friendlies have also formed part of pre-season preparation, with United defeating Atletico Madrid 2-1 in Stockholm in their most recent outing, giving Carrick further opportunities to assess his squad before the season begins. Before going further, if this is your first time here, this is Final Whiz, and this channel covers every confirmed and reported Manchester United transfer story as it develops. If you want to stay ahead of every update in this transfer window, subscribe to the channel, like this video, and tell us in the comments which of these 7 deals you believe is most likely to happen first. The first name on the list is Arsenal's Miles Lewis-Skelly. United held an interest in the 19-year-old last year when he was playing sparingly for Arsenal, positioned behind both Riccardo Calafiori and Piero Hincapié in the left-back pecking order. Mikel Arteta later moved him into midfield, where Lewis-Skelly established himself in the first team. According to The Independent, United had previously stepped back from pursuing a deal but are now investigating whether a move would be possible again. The renewed interest is directly tied to Arsenal's pursuit of Newcastle's Bruno Guimaraes, who is reportedly set for a medical on Monday in a deal worth close to £80 million. Should that transfer go through, Arsenal's midfield would become significantly more congested, and Lewis-Skelly could once again find himself short of playing time. Any transfer fee Arsenal receive for the player would count as pure profit under financial fair play regulations, a factor that could make negotiations easier despite the two clubs being direct rivals. The Independent reports that United are currently assessing whether Arsenal are open to doing business, with their interest described as strong. Both clubs would need to work through the complexity of a deal between direct rivals, but the financial circumstances on Arsenal's side, combined with United's long-standing interest in the player, mean a transfer has not been ruled out. United's search for a left-back has continued throughout the summer despite already having Luke Shaw, Patrick Dorgu, and Noussair Mazraoui available in that position, underlining how highly the club rates Lewis-Skelly's versatility across multiple roles. A second major story involves Marcus Rashford and Roma midfielder Manu Kone. United's midfield has already been strengthened this summer through the arrivals of Tielemans and Santos, but the club remains keen to add one further player in that position. Kone, who played for France at the World Cup, is valued at £51 million, according to Italian outlet La Gazzetta dello Sport. The same publication reports that Rashford could move to Roma in the opposite direction as part of the arrangement. Rashford spent last season on loan at Barcelona, but the Spanish club chose not to trigger his £26 million by option, leaving his long-term future uncertain. Neither United nor Rashford reportedly want him to remain at Old Trafford beyond this window. Roma need a winger but are currently restricted by financial fair play regulations, meaning a swap arrangement involving Rashford could allow both clubs to complete their targets without committing significant transfer fees up front. Koné's performances at the World Cup for France raised his profile considerably, and his current valuation of £51 million reflects the level of interest he has attracted from clubs across Europe. For United, adding a player of his profile would complete the midfield rebuild that began with the signings of Tielemans and Santos earlier in the window, while for Rashford, a move to Roma would offer regular first-team football in a different European league after a difficult year on loan. If you're finding these updates useful, take a moment to hit subscribe on Final Whiz. Every subscriber and every comment helps this channel keep bringing you Manchester United news before it reaches the mainstream outlets, so let us know below whether you would support a Rashford for Koné swap. 4 academy players have also been identified as possible departures this summer. Radek Vitek, a 22-year-old Czech goalkeeper, spent last season on loan at Bristol City and has generated fresh interest after featuring during pre-season, with a permanent departure looking increasingly likely. Harry Amas, a left-back, has impressed while deputising for Luke Shaw in pre-season matches, but is reportedly valued at around £6 million by the club. Both Patrick Dorgu and Noussair Mazraoui remain ahead of him in the squad hierarchy, and his representatives are said to be weighing up their options ahead of the new season. Dan Gore, a central midfielder, has struggled with injuries over the past few seasons and spent last term on loan at Rotherham United, featuring in a central midfield role. He has since been told his best opportunity for regular first-team football this season lies with the under-21 squad, and Middlesbrough have been mentioned as possible suitors. Should a suitable offer arrive? Toby Collier, another academy graduate, spent last season on loan at Hull City and, despite showing glimpses of promise, is expected to be sold permanently if the right offer comes in, having expressed a preference for regular senior football. On the outgoing front, Joshua Zirkzee has reportedly agreed to join Juventus on loan with no obligation to buy, according to La Gazzetta dello Sport. United signed the Dutch forward for £36 million in 2024, making him the club's first signing under its current ownership structure. He previously played in Italy with Bologna, and reports suggest he has struggled to establish himself at Old Trafford since arriving. The proposed loan move is understood to depend on Juventus first completing the separate departure of striker Jonathan David. Reports indicate that Zirkzee has become a difficult player for United to move on in a permanent sale, making a loan exit, with or without a future purchase option, the more realistic outcome at this stage. His departure would mark the second forward to leave the club this summer following ongoing uncertainty over Rashford's situation, further reshaping Carrick's attacking options. Ahead of the new campaign, Manchester United have also been linked with Juventus winger Francisco Conceição, following a report from La Gazzetta dello Sport claiming that both United and Liverpool made enquiries for the 23-year-old, with Juventus reportedly seeking between €40 million and €50 million including bonuses. Transfer journalist Fabrizio Romano addressed the story directly on his Italian YouTube channel, stating there had been no contact between the two parties. Romano said, "I have absolutely no confirmation of that. Not even a single phone call." Romano explained that the lack of interest has nothing to do with the player's ability, noting that United already have strong options in that position through Amad Diallo and other established wide players performing well for the club. He compared the situation to earlier reports linking Bayern Munich with Bremer, a story that also failed to materialize into an actual transfer. Romano did confirm that Juventus would be willing to sell Conceição if a club met their valuation, though the club are not currently trying to move him on, and the player himself has not requested to leave. A further story involves Atalanta goalkeeper Ederson, whom United had agreed to sign earlier this year for £35 million, with personal terms in place and a deal completed between the two clubs. Ederson passed an initial remote medical while on international duty with Brazil during the World Cup, but United subsequently requested a second, more thorough medical in England. Once his international commitments ended, a minor knee issue was identified during that examination, and United withdrew from the agreement despite Atalanta maintaining publicly and privately that the player was fully fit. Atalanta went on to agree a new contract with Ederson shortly afterward. United's decision to walk away from the deal came despite Ederson having already been cleared following the first stage of his medical assessment in the United States. The club's willingness to abandon an agreed transfer over a medical concern, even after personal terms and a fee had been settled, reflects a more cautious approach to squad building this summer compared to previous transfer windows. Speaking to ESPN, pundit Don Hutchinson said, "I'm surprised they didn't go back for Ederson." He added that Ederson is a very, very good player, who can make other players around him better, and noted that the goalkeeper has since signed a new contract at Atalanta. Hutchinson also addressed United's broader recruitment strategy under the club's current ownership, stating that the approach has shifted away from committing £100 million to individual signings, adding that the club has had a couple of really outstanding windows in recent transfer periods. Carrick's squad is also set to be strengthened this week as several senior players return to training at Carrington following their involvement at the World Cup, giving the manager a fuller group to work with as pre-season continues alongside the transfer speculation. Taken together, 7 potential deals remain in play for Manchester United this week. These include the renewed pursuit of Miles Lewis-Skelly, a possible Rashford for Kone swap with Roma, permanent departures for Radek Vitek, Harry Amas, Dan Gore, and Toby Collier, and the proposed loan exit of Joshua Zirkzee to Juventus. Confirmation on several of these situations could arrive within days as the Premier League season draws closer, with United's business this window shaped as much by departures as by new arrivals. Each of these 7 situations is at a different stage of negotiation, ranging from a formal agreement in Zirkzee's case to an early information gathering stage in United's renewed interest in Lewis-Skelly. The scale of activity across both incoming and outgoing deals indicates that Carrick and the club's recruitment team are working to finalize the shape of the squad before competitive fixtures begin. That covers every major transfer story currently developing at Old Trafford. If you want to be among the first to know when any of these 7 deals are confirmed, subscribe to Final Whiz, hit the like button on this video.